Welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session, we're going to be covering CGI's customer story. We're going to be talking about Helix AIOps, empowering people and driving business value. And joining me today is Yaron Front, our Director of Product Management, AIOps Evangelist from BMC Helix. We also have Jason Campbell, Director of GTO, Multi-Client Services from CGI, and then we have Costa Pappas, AIOps Lead for CGI. They will do their formal introduction shortly, but before we get started, just a reminder, if you do have any questions during the session, please use the Q&A section of Zoom, which you will find at the bottom. We will also be running a poll, a couple of questions we want to ask around where you are with your journey, and also the opportunity if you'd like to connect with Jason and his team when he's over at the BMC Helix Roadshow in New York. We would love to get your details so we can connect you together. And I'm also delighted when Yaron does his formal introduction, he will also be at our roadshow, and Darius, who is helping us in the Q&A today. So I'm now going to hand over to Yaron, that's going to just frame and set the scene for today, and delighted to have CGI here today. So Yaron, if you want to get us started.
Thanks, Sam, and thanks everybody for joining the webinar today. So my name is Yaron Front. I am Samantha's co-host for the series about AIOps, and today we have a special privilege to have two guest speakers from CGI. CGI is one of BMC Helix's important partners, and what Jason and Costa are going to be talking about today is a relatively unknown or relatively overlooked aspect of implementing AIOps, which is how do you integrate the changes that you need to make when you're implementing AIOps? So changes in how people work, business processes. And that's a really, really important aspect of success when implementing AIOps and in how you can get incremental value. So every step of the way when you're implementing AIOps, you get increased value. So Jason and Costa are going to be talking about that today. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jason, please.
Thanks, Sharon. All right, so a little bit about me. My name is Jason Campbell. I am the director for CGI's global technology operations in Canada that focus on tools that drive innovation and efficiencies in things both IT and the business side. So this can range from things like RPA, infrastructure automation, observability, and asset controls. And with me today, I've brought one of my members, who is our AIOps Prime. He's Costa Pappas. He oversees a lot of the AIOps, the observability within the Helix platform. And he's also from the global technology operations side of Canada as well. And as mentioned, if at the end, if anybody does want to meet, I will be in New York for the roadshow, doing a couple of the different sessions. So I invite you to come up, chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask away. Now, a little bit about CGI, just before we get going, just so everybody knows who we are and kind of our perspective here. So we are an MSP. So we do provide end-to-end IT and business consulting services. We work side by side with our customers, drawing upon all of our global capabilities, all to meet the customer's needs and expectations. And our global footprint is around 400 or so offices in 40 different countries. We have more than 80,000 consultants to over 5,500 customers that we have globally. And these customers kind of fit within 10 primary industries. And I'll kind of showcase a little bit of that in a second here. The other big part, though, is CGI has been a partner with Helix for over 15 years, where we have a base of experts in a variety of their different technologies that work on our customers. These aren't just in Canada, they are globally spread out. So we use Helix products all over the place. In Canada, I am fortunate to have a few of the different Helix technology divisions that report directly into me. Things that focus on infrastructure automation, security patching side, observability, and the asset control. We do work heavily with Helix. But it is to say we are tool agnostic. I do use a variety of tools. It's just the Helix side does often fit the need for what we have. But I also work very closely with other Helix divisions like ITSM and stuff like that, so that we are always working together to get full value of the tools. Now, different areas that CGI does work. So we do have a lot of industry experience in these 10 different sectors, and to serve as that trusted partner for our customers, because working within the IT side, and we will get to it a little bit later, it has to be a partnership. We are so interconnected between the IT and the business side anymore that we have to understand, and IT has to understand how the business works. So we work very closely with our customers, which gives us our ability to deliver that unique level of business consulting, the managed services, or even professional services. And we've been doing this for over 50 years. So because we work very close with the clients, we are often focusing on the evolution of those different types of industries and how they will scale and how they will evolve over the coming years. So sometimes we work with the customers as it's leading the change, or sometimes we help push them and get to that change. So it's a big thing here is that with CGI side, we work to understand the client and how the technology could evolve and help them with their day-to-day stuff. Now I'll kind of get into the overall. So what the purpose of this webinar is. And before we get into the AIOps, let's talk about the technology that this is going to make that's going to make this big shift in our business. Now we're seeing in IT environments becoming more and more complex. Hybrid, multi-cloud, and a heavy focus on digital first models. IT environments are more dynamic and interconnected than ever before, far beyond what manual operations can manage effectively. And what we know is reactive operations do not scale. So without the proper tools and technologies, teams often end up drowning in alerts and constantly firefighting problems after they happen. So with these changes, business expectations of IT are also changing. So IT services are not sitting in the background acting in a support function anymore. They're often a major part of growth and the access for the customers. For example, where banks will now push customers to use more banking apps on their phones, retailers are pushing people more to use the websites to provide sales, and the ability to provide those services routing more and more through IT. So in short, the future of IT is business growth, and it doesn't just need to be automated, it needs to be more intelligent. So that's where AI needs to collaborate to make more decisions faster. It needs to help us prevent issues before they actually impact the business and continue with the business growth through the IT operations. So a big thought of IT is primarily technology. And I would actually argue it's only around 20% technology, while the greater part is the people, the process, and the culture of the business. And any change with IT operations starts with the people and process that make it work. Things like AIOps are not just an upgrade, it's actually a cultural shift, and success of it depends on the people embracing new ways of working. So uh, they'll need to review, and organizations will need enablers, people moving from reacting to problems to creating, enabling the automations and trusting the AI to help them predict and prevent those future problems. So they'll need to review and adapt processes to make sure that not only do they make sense, but they leverage insights from things like AI to help them cut through the data rapidly and allow for those quicker data-driven decisions. So leveraging in combination of generative AI and agentic AI means that we can start and focus on the benefits of both output and outcome-based capabilities. And any change like this will require additional training and communication and collaboration with the people to make sure shifts like AIOps are a success. Because AIOps succeeds when people trust the intelligence behind it. Technology is the enabler, but people are the differentiator. So that's what you need to make sure that this succeeds is going to be a combination of the two. Now, one other big thing I found when I started leading was people see automation enhancements like AI as a replacement to them. But ultimately, I very much disagree. things like AI work great at freeing up time that used to be repeatable tasks, but ultimately I've seen this to mean that people's roles just evolve. It means that they can handle more complexity and work at a greater scale because AI and automations help them work more efficiently. The catch is often that people who lean in and become enablers often become more critical to the future of IT and to the business. And the real value of AI comes when people and AI work together to leverage human judgment using AI's ability to make sense of the vast amount of data. And the big thing to stress is it's partnership, not replacement. And it's not people or AI, it's people with AI that deliver more value. So I'll pass it to Costa, who can kind of go through the next couple slides and the points.
Thanks for that, Jason. And I couldn't agree more with what you're saying, right? AI is augmenting. It's not about replacing. And the reality of it is AI's purpose is not to take over, it's to amplify human capability, make us more efficient, right? In our day-to-day operations. And when you do that augmentation right, you're not just empowering your IT teams, you're transforming business outcomes. So I want to, take that idea and zoom out for a second here. What's going to happen when AI doesn't just, make people more efficient, but starts driving measurable value across your entire organization? When we talk about AIOps, we're not just talking about shiny new tech or fancy dashboards, for example. We're talking about creating real, tangible business outcome, right, or business impact rather, real outcomes that leadership actually cares about. So breaking that down, first and foremost, we have reduced downtime. AI is going to allow us to predict and prevent incidents before they disrupt the business. What that means is, fewer service outages, fewer late night emergency calls, for example. And I think a lot of us can appreciate that, having been in some of those, and a lot more stability overall. And the result is going to be critical services are going to stay up, and teams are finally going to shift from firefighting to forward thinking. Next, we see optimized costs. When we leverage automation to resolve those, routine incidents, teams can actually focus on innovation, making better use of our resources and directly lowering operational costs as well, right? Because it's 2025. We need to move away from having these highly skilled individuals manually, populating spreadsheets or, doing the same repetitive task over and over again. So to reiterate, it's not about replacing people. It's about letting them focus on things that actually matter, giving them meaningful and engaging work, which is ultimately more fulfilling as well, right? That's going to naturally lead to improved customer experience, right? Stable systems equals smoother service. And let's make one thing clear over here as well. No one's going to send you a thank you email for everything's working fine today. I think that's a little bit too much to ask, but that stability is going to build trust. That stability is going to build loyalty. And as a managed service provider here at CGI, or probably any business for that matter, that loyalty goes a long way, right? That's how we want to operate, quietly but powerfully at the same time. Finally, we have data-driven decisions. AIOps is going to give you that real-time visibility into performance and system health, so we can stop with the guesswork, right? We don't need to be Sherlock Holmes. We usually have enough roles as is at the workplace. So we stop relying on that one guy as well that knows that one server, and we start making strategic decisions that are backed by real, actual insights. So that's the heart of it, right? We're moving from keeping the lights on to creating measurable business value. And if you've ever been on that, 3M bridge call that's been ongoing for 36 hours and that's nowhere near the finish line, that's business value that you can feel deep in your soul, right? So moving on to the next slide. The question here is, how do we get there, right? How is AIOps actually making all of this happen under the hood? So we'll pull back the curtain here and see what's really driving these outcomes. So it'll all start off with predictive analytics. Think of predictive analytics as your early warning radar, right? AI is constantly scanning thousands of data points across your environment. It's spotting these tiny anomalies before they turn into incidents even. It's almost the equivalent of your car telling you before an issue happens or before the check engine light comes on that you're going to have a problem with it tomorrow, right? That's the level of foresight that AIOps is bringing to the table. After predictive analytics comes root cause analysis. And traditionally, this was a very painful part, right? Think of the hours you had to spend sifting through logs or chasing alerts. Think about all these teams saying, hey, it's not us, it's them, because issues affect different layers of a service, right, that are supported by different teams, and there's downstream impact, right? With AIOps, machine learning comes in and correlates those metrics, correlates those events, and correlates those dependencies automatically. It'll pinpoint your root cause. That way you can engage the team that can actually fix the issue that trickle down to other layers, rather than getting absolutely everyone involved that can't really do anything about it, right? If I'm having an issue at the infrastructure layer and we had downstream impacts at the software level and even impacts at the database layer, there's nothing the database team will be able to do. There's nothing the software application team will be able to do unless we address the issue at the infrastructure layer, right? So that's the whole point of having root cause analysis in play. We're essentially turning what used to be hours of detective work into minutes of clarity. Next, come preventative actions. So you're going to lose a lot of value if you have no automation that's tied into your observability solution, right? Into your observability process. Automation is going to come in to fix those issues proactively, be it rebooting a service or clearing queues, a lot of times even before anyone even notices something went wrong. So we're going from really reacting to outages to actively preventing them. And this entire process is going to feed continuous learning. Every event is going to teach AI something new, right? It's going to learn your environment, be it your baselines, be it your patterns. What I mean by that is if you have a batch job that runs on a server every week or every month for that matter, AIOps will pinpoint that batch job runs on that server and that's normal for that server, and it won't wake up somebody at 3 o'clock in the morning while that job is running because you had a CPU increase or a mem increase, because that's considered within what's normal for that server, right? So we don't have people waking up in the middle of the night. We don't have people chasing these alerts around that are going to end up just being closed because there's no actual issue in play, right? So over time, this process is just going to become sharper. It's going to become faster and more confident too. Now, here's where things are changing and getting a little bit more exciting even, and that's with the arrival of agentic AI. So today, AIOps is giving us prediction. AIOps is also giving us automation. As you can tell, tomorrow, agentic AI is bringing reasoning and collaboration, right? We're talking about systems that are now acting with intent, that are understanding business context as a whole, and can even collaborate with us humans, right? So picture an AI that's not only fixing your issue, but is telling you why it fixed your issue and how that aligns to your business priorities as well. That's kind of the direction we're headed in, right? We're going from reactive to proactive to now autonomous operations. And the beauty of it is we're not talking about 10 years down the line either. We're talking about right around the corner. Moving on to the next slide. I think that's a good segue into what this means for the people, right? Because a lot of times, just like Jason was saying, when we're talking about AI, one of the most common questions you'll get is, where do humans fit in this picture? And this is something I'll be crystal clear about, and I promise this is the last time I mention this during this live session or webinar. AI is not about replacing people. It's about augmenting. There's a reason why organizations who do mass layoffs with the idea that AI can replace their entire workforce end up in trouble, right? Be it a global outage or a vulnerability that's going to put their customers' data at risk. There's certain things AI excels at, right? There's certain things that AI can do that no human can do, regardless of your IQ, regardless of how intelligent you are. AI can handle speed, it can handle scale, and it can handle precision at a level no human can. It'll analyze those millions of data points in seconds, right? And it's something we can't physically do. But people bring something else to the table or other things to the table that AI simply can't, right? Be it creativity, be it intuition, or empathy. And when you combine all of our strengths together, you're unlocking agility that was never possible before. So while AI might tell you what's happening and why it's happening, humans are going to give meaning to that why and what's happening, right? What does it mean for the business? What does it mean for the customer? What does it mean for tomorrow's priorities? And sure, while AI can learn from all of this, there still needs to be a human in the loop defining these things in the first place, right? AI won't know this batch of servers defines the following service, right? So that's where humans come into play. We're giving context to all these things. We're feeding AI information that's extremely valuable that it will never be able to pinpoint itself. So this is the synergy we're talking about here, right? Humans and AI working together. So contrary to what Hollywood probably has everybody thinking, we're not talking about man versus machine. It's really about man and machine. At least for the time being. I obviously cannot make any promises for the future. I don't know what the next 100 years looks like, but for the time being, I think we can say that with absolute confidence. The more we work with these systems, the more they're going to learn from us, right? The better they're going to become. And it's not about losing that control. We want to gain the capability and be more efficient in our day-to-day work. And for IT teams, what that ends up meaning is less time spent reacting and firefighting and more time spent innovating. We're finally turning IT from a cost center, which it's been for years and years at this point, into a strategic advantage. That being said, I will be passing it over to Jason, who will speak on why AIOps is not just a tool.
All right. Thanks, Costa. So moving to a technology like AIOps, it's not just about adopting a tool, right? It's really a transformation. And in order for AIOps to drive value, it involves changing how people work by embedding those predictive intelligence into their decisions. So giving them that foresight instead of relying on the hindsight. And that's ultimately what we're trying to stress here, and the way that IT is going. It's everybody's fought for years on how do we get to proactive and preventative IT. Using things like AIOps is allowing it to watch everything going on to help point you where to look. What should we be focusing on here? And that's what the power of AIOps is giving us. It's giving us the look here. There's a problem brewing. What do we need to do? Even if it can fix something itself, then still alert us to what it saw in the environment. So when people are leveraging the AI insights, it starts to build that AI synergy, like Costa mentioned, that emphasizes the operational agility by increasing the speed and accuracy of our decisions. It helps inform us so that when we make a decision, it's backed by data. And the data has been already cut through because the AI has shown us this is the part that's relevant to it. So you're not looking at 1,000 different data points, you're focusing on these 4 or 5 to make the decision. And all of this is that foundation of the autonomous enterprise, the direction of the future where our IT is more data-driven and it's more automatic to make sure that everything is running at peak capability and not going down on us. AIOps is not just a technology, it's more of a catalyst for the next generation of operations. I'll pass it back to Costa for him to finish the kind of why CGI and how our approach has been. Costa?
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jason. So when you're on this journey towards autonomous operations, which I'll admit can seem very daunting at first, right? There's a lot in play. Who do you want walking that path with you? So what I like to say is if AIOps is a symphony of data, a symphony of data automation and intelligence, CGI is going to be that conductor that can make it all work in harmony. First and foremost, we've deployed hybrid discovery across on-prem, cloud, containerized environments, and given organizations full visibility into their IT landscape. Long gone are the days where somebody's manually updating or tracking assets on an Excel spreadsheet. We're trying to avoid that at all costs, right? As much as humans are good at certain things, making mistakes is one thing we excel at as well. And tracking things on an Excel spreadsheet is a great way of making mistakes. We're essentially, I like to think of it as us turning on the lights in a dark room, right? Suddenly you can see those connections, you can see those dependencies, and you can even see those hidden risks from a compliance standpoint that you were never able to see before. Another thing that's important to note, and I know we've spoken about this earlier on in the presentation, is that we're tool agnostic here at CGI, right? And as a result of being tool agnostic, we're fluent in a lot of these tools that you would recognize in the observability world, be it Helix, obviously. I don't think we'd be doing this webinar if that weren't the case. But even other tools, right? Like Dynatrace, New Relic, SolarWinds, Intuity, Zabbix. The list goes on and on. I could be here all day kind of going through the list of tools our teams have interacted with and are experts in. But our goal here is to bridge those tools together so clients can get that single source of truth, right? That mythical unified view everyone's always talking about. So we're no longer talking about logging into 15 different portals to get access to your information anymore, or dashboards with conflicting metric information. And we're leveraging these tools based on what customers already have set up, as well as their needs that have yet to be addressed, right, at all. So we'll use different tools for different purposes, be it Helix, for example, from an infrastructure standpoint with patrol agents, or Dynatrace from an APM standpoint, or even SolarWinds from a network monitoring perspective. And we're bringing it all into a centralized platform like Helix, right? Another thing I'd like to point out is while these tools are very powerful and capable of collecting granular metrics across the board, essentially, we do our due diligence to make sure that we're not drowning in alerts either, because even though there's more data that's available to us than ever before, the end goal is to simplify issues or to simplify things, right? Not make things more complicated than they were originally. So the goal is to turn that data into action, right? We're trying to deliver clarity, not more chaos. And finally, we don't just deploy technology and disappear. Here at CGI, we're your partners. We want to help you move from reactive to predictive and beyond, and ultimately enable you to derive tangible business value along the way. So operations is our lifeblood here, right? That's what we do here at CGI, and we make sure the lights stay on but never dim in the process. And a bonus I'd like to add as well is we also come with Tim Hortons coffee to every project. So you're always guaranteed a caffeine boost when we're around. All jokes aside, we've implemented this with numerous customers today. So if you're ever looking for some guidance along the way, please feel free to reach out to see how we can help in your observability journey. Thank you, everyone.
We go on to questions, Jason. I think it's my slides next. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, so just a quick recap for everyone. If you haven't been to any of the road shows and you're in these regions, we're halfway through. So Riyadh's going to be next week. Obviously, some of you, hopefully, due to this time that we're running this session, will be close to the New York time zone or maybe out in that area. We would love, whilst this is great doing digital formats of webinars, we would love to see you in person. We're very fortunate that Jason's been asked to do a customer story and will also be part of a user group. And we also have the pleasure of Yaron and Darius that's on this call today that will also be there from the BMC Helix team amongst many of our colleagues. So if you are interested, there is still time to sign up. I will be sharing the link out with you when you get your thank you email with all of today's content. So do feel free to connect. And also you'll find in the setup of the poll, there is a question if you would like to meet with Jason while he's there. And of course, also our team that's here today and everybody else. So if you do want to put some details in, we'd love to hear from you. Next slide will be our Gartner. So we work very closely with Gartner. If any of you do have anything you want to share, a story very similar to Jason himself, you can get a gift card. It will go directly to Gartner and they'll publish it if it's successful. So don't panic too much about trying to take the QR code now, but if you do have a phone handy, it's here. And there's also a link. And again, I'll be sharing that with you if you want to sign up and put your feedback forward. Before we also go to questions, I know we had a few, Jason. I do know that when people were signing up for this session, I did get a couple of questions in when people were trying to find out a little bit more about the session that was coming up. One question that did come in, and I do want to ask you this before I start unmuting everyone, it was, why did you pick Helix at CGI?
Oh, that's a good question. I was told I had to. No, so we're at CGI, we're very tool agnostic. I use within my teams, we have a lot of different tools. But one thing was that Helix seemed to have hit a lot of the different reasons or a lot of the different needs of them. So it ended up gravitating to a lot more that we did within them. We still use other tools and we use them quite frequently out there, sometimes to augment the Helix one, say like Dynatrace for APM side to feed the data in, or Intuity from network side to feed data in. But ultimately, the Helix allowed us to kind of pull in everything into that open platform, giving us that unified view so that we could see everything across the environment. I really hate the idea of saying a single pane of glass. I'm not a huge fan of the term, but giving us the visibility coming into one tool so that the tier ones, the tier twos, and all the different groups can see everything and how the different components impact each other has been a huge success for us, showing us that thing and then the business models. And I stand by of all the tools under me, Discovery is my favorite. So ultimately picking the Helix side came down to it just fit the need in a lot of cases.
Wonderful. That's a great answer. And I know that if Matt's listening out there today, he'd be happy you saying Discovery. You've already done a webinar for us on Discovery, and I'm sure we'll pull you in again. But thank you for that. And another question, actually, and I suspect Darius, who's also helping us today on the Q&A, might have a BMC Helix standpoint. But the next question, again, this is going to probably require a very long answer, is: how long does it take to implement for CGI?
So, 2 years. 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 anything that's the AIOps, and a lot of our slides, we spoke to AIOps as a whole, right? It varies depending on your environment, your requirements, what you're looking to get out of it. Um, it's one of the things that it will grow with you as you get going, but starting out is not necessarily the easy. It's not just flipping a switch and you're on. It's coming down to deploying the technology and getting it in there so you have the insights, but then it's reinforcing and training with the people. Uh, the biggest lesson that we've learned over the last 3 years with moving towards the AI ops direction is that this is more cultural and people related. And I mean like the culture of the business and how and where it drives its decisions and all that. Those decide the success. And when we do a deployment, my team will literally focus on all the individual supporting teams, training sessions after training sessions after training sessions across all the different tools, focusing that the people are in the tool driving value. This is not just a one team is using. This is all teams need to use. All teams need to be there to observe and see the information. These insights coming in are important, and we want to get to them before it hits the ticketing tool saying that there's an actual outage. We want to see the insight and we want to understand the insight. And if people aren't trained to be in the tool, it can be a very costly failure. And we've went in and I've presented AI ops to customers who then tried to do it themselves, and without understanding, without reinforcing that side, I've had them come back in for another presentation to sit down, and the story is, we saw your thing, it didn't work. What did we do wrong? So the biggest thing is it's hard to say how quick it can. Every customer is different, but ultimately it's focusing more on the change in the processes, the people, and the culture than it is on the technology side. Hopefully that answered the question.
The only thing I would add to that is, and Jason, I would offer to get your perspective on this as well, is that there's levels to this. When you come in, it doesn't mean that out the gate everybody becomes an expert overnight, and the value that you get is the art of what's possible that you may have seen in a demo. As people are making this transition from what they used to do to an ability to get additional information to then make different decisions or more informed decisions, it's like anything else. You'll learn a bit, incorporate it in what you do so you become more efficient. And as you get more familiar with it, as new processes engage, as other organizations come online with leveraging that information, then you start elevating your expertise or leveraging your ability to leverage this output. And so there's levels to this. So out the gate, sometimes the misconception is, oh, turn AI on and now I'm an expert and I can just make all these decisions up front. What you come in with is a starting point. You start getting value, you learn, you build upon that, you level up, you go back and continuously review those processes for efficiencies. The people get better at understanding the information, and you continue to evolve your benefits and your values that you get from this over time. It's not just come in and turn it on and then everybody's an expert.
I absolutely agree with you.
And one more thing, just to share with everybody, it's oftentimes, well, with every customer meeting, at some point, we get the question, so how long is this going to take? And my answer is always the same. It's how long is a piece of string? Because it really depends on where you're trying to get to, how large your environment is. But I think a much more important and pertinent question is, and I think this echoes a lot of what Darius was saying, is to ask yourself, what is the value that I'm going to get at every milestone on the way? So implementing AIOps is a process, and it involves different stages. And in every stage, you get incremental value. So the right way to do it, and I know that CGI are experts at exactly that. It's all about, how do I get you from where you are right now to something that's better in a short amount of time? Then when we're at better, how about we go to even better than that, and then better than that, all the way into the desired outcome. But it is important, and what I would ask myself, if I were working for a company today that's implementing AIOps for the first time, I wouldn't really look at how long is it going to take me to get to the end, right? But I would look at what are the incremental values that I can bring to my organization along the way with every step. So just, kind of to provide a little bit of background from what we're seeing in the field today.
I'm sorry, and Yaron, you
Please.
really clicked on one thing that I wanted to make sure that we lose sight of. It's a very good point to hone in on, that point that you just made, and I want to anchor it and make sure this is well understood. How long, oftentimes, it's going to take for customers to get from where they are to where they want to be in that first stage also largely depends upon where you are. Every customer, every opportunity, people are starting in a different place with regard to their level of maturity. So if you are at an early stage and you have the basics in place, but don't have much foundation for things that you were doing, it may take that person a different starting point, which means that you may have a different initial milestone. So you get value along the way. And then you measure or you consider how long it takes to get to that initial milestone. Some other customers may have more maturity in certain areas of capability, more support, and a top-down approach coming from executives for investment and focus, which means they're starting in a different place. So therefore, their ability to accelerate and get to a milestone that works for them is going to be different than the first example that I gave. So none of this is intended to be ambiguous about the answer, but it is true in the sense that for us to get you, or for you to get from where you are to where you initially want to be, varies depending upon where you're starting. And that's the key point. Pay attention to assessing where you are so that you don't jump in thinking, hey, that's what I saw. I want that tomorrow. That's true for some customers, but it may not be true for others who are starting in a fundamentally different place.
That's a really, really good point, Darius. Thanks. So, Sam, I see that we have
Some more
a couple of
questions.
questions. Yes, a couple of questions in the chat.
We do.
So, let me just start with the first one because that's kind of a me question. Halim is asking, will agentic AI be provided in on-prem for BMC Helix? So, Halim, yes, the answer is yes. That is in our roadmap. We don't have that available today, but we are planning to provide that. I can actually share with you that we're doing several tests today to find the right tooling that we need around it to make sure that we meet the demands and the resource requirements and the kind of the architectural requirements. But yes, it is going to be available on premises as well. And the next question is, by Gajula. Who are your top competitors, and what are the top 5 feature that make Helix stand out? Also, what is a roadmap? So we don't usually discuss competitors because it's usually unfair to them because we're so much better. But seriously, we don't really go into the comparison side because one of the things that sets BMC Helix as a platform apart from the competition is what drove BMC Helix to build the platform in the first place. And what drove us to build a platform, which we built from scratch, to be purpose made for service ops, which is bringing service and operations management together, is the need for a platform. So other solutions may have parts of what we do, and they may do it in a different way. But anybody who's ever worked with AI knows that the result of the outcomes and the quality of the outcomes you're going to get from any AI initiative have to do with the breadth and the depth of the information you can feed into the platform. And what really sets BMC Helix as a platform apart from any other solution out there in the market today is that it is an open platform. is the fact that you can bring in a lot of information. You can bring in information from service management. So tickets, knowledge articles, run books, replies, interactions, it all comes in. We bring in information from the operational systems. We bring in topology and deep understanding of service models from Discovery or other tools. We interface with CMDB. So we bring all of that information into one place. And that means that the outcome that you are going to get from Helix is going to be better because we bring the breadth and the depth of the information you need in order to get these outcomes. Now, as far as our roadmap, today we all saw and we're all seeing the impact that new AI technologies have on literally every aspect of our lives. Who remembers that 3 years ago we didn't know what ChatGPT was? We didn't know what GPT, I didn't know what GPT was, right? And today, a day that, I can't go a day without using one of the GPT engines, and usually multiple GPT engines, a dozen or more times a day. Like I couldn't do what I do today without these. So where we're seeing this going is agentic, is having the ability to have agents that have the ability to be autonomous, have the ability to take action, have the ability to have independent reasoning and learning that can help you take away the mundane, repetitive actions that you have to do in your job today. We are still very much going to focus on us as people on the creative and collaborative side of it. And agentic AI really brings in a lot of value in taking away the stuff that has to do with digging around for information and going over a lot of different sources of information. And we believe that agentic can be a great tool for both service and for operations management. And that's our roadmap, and that's where we're taking it next. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, do let us know if you've got anything further. And
Yeah.
then Jason, back to you. We've got a question. I'm not sure who it's from, but it is, does your company use predictive alerting and how has it benefited you?
So yes, we do use predictive alerting, and we have seen quite a bit of success in it. It has pointed us to certain areas where memory is increasing on systems and specific applications. I think a bunch of that has the biggest value has we're in, say, a JBoss world. It's pointed us to where things have increased pretty rapidly and gave us pointers to go looking there in advance. So yes, we do use it, and yes, we have seen success in it.
The one thing I would offer, in addition to that, with experience as well, is that same thing we talked about before. And Jason, I would ask your experience with this. There's levels to this. Folks come in, look at predictive predictive alerting, and the potential that it has, and it seems odd to say this now, but they turn it on for everything, and then it becomes a bunch of noise, and then they immediately turn it off. And the thing to keep in mind with predictive alerting, as you do with any of these items, you want to target, focus, understand, assess, and adjust. And that way, with that insight, you can then start applying predictive learning to areas because you're going to get results that you did not expect. And you have to understand whether that was correct in the results or did I configure something a certain way? And is it telling me something? This is the human factor that the team was talking about today. You have to take that, and with that learned knowledge, you get better at tuning the application of this capability throughout your organization so that you can see the value in what it has to offer. But again, I keep saying this phrase, there's levels to this. Please understand that as you go in. Jason, what are your thoughts on your experience?
Absolutely. We often find, so when you're defining your key health indicators of your services so that you can drive the predictive insights, often adding something in and adjusting, constantly adjusting, making sure that you get to that fine-tuned point. We often, like, I really like using the dynamic baselines or the benchmarks so that we can drive more adjustable alarm policies and policies based off of it. But giving those abilities, but sometimes it's aligning other things, or at least maybe while it's still building out at the very beginning, and giving it so that you don't want to be flooded with alerts. You don't want to be flooded with predictions. You want them geared and tailored to your solution so that it's actually pointing you in the right area. And sometimes we have seen people put too many in. Other times they start out too few. So it's making sure that you have the right balance of what you need for your service. And that's the business context side, right? So that's the part where you need people who understand your applications to help feed the context of what the value is to the AI.
Thank you, guys. We don't have any more questions at the moment, so I'll just reach out to the audience to say if you haven't done the poll, love to get some feedback. A few of you filled it in, so thank you for doing that. And if you do have any other questions or you want to be brave and come off of mute, you can speak to us live as well. Apologies, I should have mentioned it at the start. We do leave you muted while we're running the session for recording purposes, but if you do want to come and speak to us live, you've got the opportunity to do that now. Why, Jason, they're thinking of potentially some other questions. Is there any kind of CTAs or comfort that you can give
Sam?
to customers? Yeah. Sorry, go
Sam?
on. You're on. Yes.
Yeah, just one comment that I did want to mention, and thank you, Jonathan, for pointing that out to me. So just to complete the answer about on-premises. So in our upcoming version, in version 25.3, you are able to run BMC Helix on-prem and have the large language model hosted by you. So you bring your own model on Google Vertex or on Azure. So that is another option if you're looking for the on-prem. And if you want really to run everything, including everything on-prem, that is coming in our roadmap. So I just wanted to make that clarification, Sam.
Okay. It's important. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So yes, back to Jason. If there was anything, just really to ease people, I know not everyone's in a different part of their AIOps journey, and Darius is who is on today. We've done a part 1 and part 2 for AIOps and just how the process works. I will share those links for recordings for everyone so they can go and watch those. And we're always putting in or putting out AIOps content. So there's much out there for you to go and look at, but obviously there's nothing better than real-time questions. And obviously when we get stories from customers, is there anything you specifically want to share? Because I know you've talked through your challenges, you've spoken about how and why. Anything that we've missed off that you just want to tell everyone in the audience?
Anything that I've missed or like I haven't gotten to say already?
Probably what you haven't got to say yet.
I would say just kind of reinforcing a lot of this is a shift in the people and how you change things. It doesn't mean don't move forward, but it is kind of review and understand what you're getting into. There is a lot of value in AIOps, and the biggest stress point is it's still in its infancy of what its potential is. Um, it's don't be discouraged to still move into it, but be aware of what it is you're trying to get out of it and the direction you're going, so that you get to that point of you're now moving with the evolution of it. Because once you get there, one of the biggest things that I love about the way that everything is set up for AIOps is it's constantly evolving every quarter. You just mentioned the 25.3 version of the Helix platform and the tool set that comes with new capabilities, not just the move to the on-prem capabilities. There's a whole new set of features that are coming that we're always looking to leverage off of, and even a lot of the agentic bots, they're coming with new iterations or new extended capabilities. Moving into this means that you're constantly evolving for capability, and it's constantly getting better. And that should be a huge goal of any of these type of tools in IT, because the days are gone when you can leave it on the same version of Zabbix for a period of time. You constantly have to keep up with it because the capabilities keep coming in. And on the Helix side, they're drastically changing and evolving very rapidly. And you don't want to be far behind on it. But if you get there now with AIOps, think of where it's going to be in 6 months, once you get to that point, or in a year from now, what it's going to be like. If we're seeing value for predictions and stuff now, my thought is imagine where we're going to be in a year from now when they're way more fine-tuned. Maybe it can determine certain other things on its own as to which ones to go looking at. There's a lot of capabilities that are still to come because AIOps is still a new technology in its current form.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we're nearly at the top of the hour, so if there isn't any further questions, we can give people back time. Obviously, Jason, Costa, Yaron, and Darius, I want to thank you for your time and everything you've provided today. It's much appreciated. And thank you for sharing your story. And again, an opportunity for everyone that's still on. If you do want to meet up with Jason, I think it's just yourself, Jason, that's going, but certainly there'll be lots of BMC Helix people. Do reach out and you can connect to Jason via LinkedIn, or I will share your details as long as we've got your permission. But thank you again. This is the second one you've done, and I'm pretty sure we'll find something else for you. And thank you for bringing your buddy along. It's good to have Costa as well. Great job, guys. Thank you.